G'day everyone, Alex McKellar here again with another top split racing replay. This week we're at Donington Park, the national layout in the new Formula Fords, which should be a bit of fun. This is about 2,600 soft, something around that mark. Couple of clowns on the front row, Vasco and Mark representing Team Clowns. Did a good job sticking on the front row. Mark's had some good pace here so far this week, as has Vasco. Ryan in P4 there. Oh, I've raced Phil Hambley before as well. Myself in 6. Not real happy with my qualifying pace yet, but it's, you know, this early days. This was a Tuesday night, first day of the week. Luke Whitten, great sparring partner over the years in the skips, moving across to the Ford now. And of course, Gamer Muscle there. James West starting in P8. Full grid, 20 car field in this one to kick us off. Dennis Johansson, the other streamer in the field, race driver 77 if you want to check him out. Ken Himes from the skips there as well. Brock Brewer's been making a name for himself recently. Alex Duplas, interesting story behind that one if you ever look that one up. He's a interesting cat, the way he gets around. Good on him too. All right, 16 laps in this one. I picked this one. It was a bit of fun, actually. Still getting the handle on the new cars and enjoying it so far. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, 16 laps. Let's get it underway. Soulmate Hambley on beside me didn't get off the line at all. I don't know if he had it in a box full of neutrals or something, but he didn't get away at all. But I left the door open. I thought Luke will pull him behind. He didn't. And we lost another one on the outside. Hurley, he's gone. Actually, I was thinking about going up the inside. Then I moved to the outside thinking Luke wouldn't come in. I was talking to Luke after. He said, yeah, I didn't mean to. I just braked himself. But he had all that room up the inside. I had cars in front of me, so I couldn't brake as deeply. And Luke actually did that really well, even if it was somewhat of an accident. But hey, happy accident, right? So I'm up to P5. I've got Whitten in front, West behind, Chinnerworth, Lay, Swarovski, all known quantities or entities. And then bang, lap 1, slow down. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming. Slow down. Move over to the right. Try and clear it. And suddenly the two freebies I had become, null and void as I'm still trying to clear it coming into the first chicane. Thankfully, but the only good thing I can say about that, aside from the fact that the slowdowns always seem to be worse on the opening lap when you haven't set deltas and what have you for iRacing to get a reference from of your actual pace, it seems to punish you more on the first laps. But as I have braked myself through turn 1, still getting my thoughts back together, a bit rattled by the slowdown and thinking, oh my gosh, down in 7th spot, I'm going to lose about 1 billion I rating here. But as I was saying, the good thing about a slowdown on lap 1 is you got some chance of getting it back. So head down. I wasn't tremendously confident in my pace here. Obviously putting on P6 on the grid really doesn't help me much in terms of confidence, but straight away we're catching Schmidt. Haven't raced with Schmidt before, but I seem to be reeling him in okay. And my hope then is, what's that, about a 2-second gap up to Mr. West. I got some work ahead of me. Well, Schmidt kindly pulls over. I gave him a bit of a thank you on the text chat. And then we start trying to nail some consistency in our laps. These cars have been really interesting. I feel like they should have more grip, less tread pattern than the skips. There's, I guess you'd call them an intermediate tyre. Not that I'm an expert, I wouldn't know what you call them really, but like I said, I guess you'd call them an intermediate tyre. But they seem to have a bit more character to them than the skips did. You'd start on the skips that would be a bit sketchy as Vasco, and oh my goodness, off in the distance we see a rolling, a spinning Ryan Chinnerworth. I think Vasco caught the exit of the old hairpin. So easy to do at turn 4 there. You come down the hill and go the right-hander. catch the rear on the outside grass on the exit, and then you immediately spat off onto the right. From what I understand, there was a big net code there and Ryan went with him. Real shame for those two. I will admit though, it helped me a bit because I'm up 2 freebies and now I'm chasing down the other clown in the field, Mr. Mark Lay. Luke Whitten for Team Milo, of course, who, if you remember, started behind me on the grid. I let him through on lap 1. Opened the door and he strolled through it as he looks to make the move ahead of us on Mark Lay. My biggest fear here was getting Luke on the front. Luke has tremendous pace. He can sometimes push the limit and it can cost him in terms of clipping the grass and doing perhaps what Vasco does from time to time, but finding the limit is really what it's all about when trying to find pace. So, you know, full marks for that's for sure. But as I was saying, with the tyres and the skips, you start cold, a bit sketchy, but then they never wear out and they just keep getting better the longer you run on them. Whereas these cars, the tyres on the new Fords seem to start pretty sketchy. They come in as much as they're going to come in, and then they feel like, I'll be honest, at the end of one of these races, they feel like they're dropping off a bit. But I found at Brands Hatch last week in the Indy layout that I was getting my fastest laps at the end of the race. Fuel's dropped off and everything, even though the tyres felt a bit sketchy. So I certainly seemed to have the pace. I was 7 tenths faster than the leader in that, which is a good sign, as we're already coming up on Ryan Chenoweth, who of course was a bit of a caught up in that incident that Vasco had. The wildlife warrior, Ryan Chenoweth, he knows what's up and lets us past. Good fella, Ryan. So as we're coming up the hill, we're on lap 5. I'm trying to be really patient, trying to lay down good laps, trying to bridge a gap, hoping with whatever I've got that they're going to do a little bit of battling. I went and watched the replay from James West, who of course is better known as Gamer Muscle in iRacing circles. Went back and watched his race. He's trying to get a bit of iRating. Dare I say farm up to 5k if he can. I mean, he's still got to get the results, so farming's probably a bit of a harsh term. But I thought he actually raced pretty smart here, patiently, as I'm gathering a lot under brakes here, and made up you can see just in that braking zone the difference between having no one in front of you and being able to brake to your full potential and full commitment. As again, I was half a tenth faster than Luke on front that lap, which really helped. Having a clear braking zone in front of you versus having 2 cars in front of you, you could see how much I could gain on the pack in front. And if I'm half a second faster than Luke, that means I'm catching the whole pack by half a second as well. As I was saying, watching the replay of James's stream, he looked to be playing really smart, you know. This is what I think is really important about race strategy and racecraft. It's picking the drivers around you, making your assessment and adjusting your strategy on the fly to suit your strengths versus where the others are strong. So in his mind, he saw Mark and myself and Luke around the pace, made assessments and made adjustments around us. So he's seen myself coming. I've caught him by a couple of seconds by the time I get on. And, you know, you got a couple of options, right? As you see, I make a lot under brakes again through the chicane there. You got a couple of options when it comes to strategy at that point. You can think to yourself, well, I'm going to battle this and hold on to P3. Or you can have a think about, you know, this guy's obviously quicker, potentially. It depends on how he thinks he's going against the guy in the front of the pack, right, as well. Because if you're sitting in third, he might just be cruising for all I know and just waiting for the later laps of the race. You know, thinking that there's no need to lead, no need to cost time against relative to the rest of the pack. I mean, look at Schmidt, he's only 3 seconds behind. That's a couple of laps of decent battling and he's back in it. So, yeah, very interesting to see James putting good thought into how he raced too, and you'll see that as we progress. So I'm back on the pack now, which is good. Took me 6 laps after that slowdown. to get back on, bridge a 2 to 3 second gap. Made 3 positions in that, only one through passing a car on track who actually let me die. I haven't let me by. I haven't actually made a legit overtake attempt yet. The other 2 were freebies. And again, set a fastest lap with a bit of draft in that one. I moved to the inside, looked to make a move. Bit sketchy under brakes, if I'm honest. She was a bit wobbly and loose in the rear. But there, James just essentially let me have it, I should say. Which indicated to me his intent was, okay, I've seen this guy coming. He's caught us by however much. You know, no point in me battling necessarily at this stage of the race versus having a look later on potentially, because you know, defending that hard means we potentially lose Mark and Luke in front. Luke going very wide on the back through McLean's, and then that's what I call taking your medicine. See that? Luke made a point there of letting Mark by, not contesting it. So many people will contest that next corner after making a mistake. At this stage of the race on lap 8, there's no point. You've made your mistake, take your medicine. You've already cost yourself a packet of time, don't do any more. As he then attacks into the next corner, nothing wrong with that, just slow them all down and suddenly I'm right in it. I'll move over to the left. Luke's defending. I decide I'm going to try and take advantage. I think I'm deep enough. I brake a bit deeper, leave room on the inside for Luke. Bit of hip and shoulder there. Bit of contact. I look at that one after the race, and in all honesty, you can see I didn't track out nearly as much as I could have. And Luke, I think, left good enough. Ooh, there's a spinner in front. And I'll tell you, look at this. Lap 9, that fella, I don't know who it was, I didn't spot it, and lap 9 had just run out of incident points and DQ'd. You could see him disappear in the blink of an eye. As I was saying, that contact on the exit of turn 1, no harm, no foul. In the heat of the moment, I was short on exit, and Luke tracked out normally. Now look, here I've shown the nose. Just wanted to disrupt him a bit, maybe slow him down and get him to not have as good a position into the next chicane, because they went 2x2 through last time. This time I wanted to set it up and focus on my exit, and bang, underneath we go, get the good exit. You see what focusing on the exit does, and suddenly we're in front. That was so exciting at the time. Mark doesn't defend, and we got it done by the time we hit turn 1. I'll talk about the strategy in that later. I actually set that up over 2 laps, or at least was thinking about it for a couple of laps, and we'll talk about it after the race. But that was so exhilarating, so exciting at the time, and I got to admit, I was pretty pleased with myself about that one, because I'd thought about it, set it up and made the move. But again, we'll talk about it after. Have a look at it, at how we set it up and what the strategy was there. But for now though, I'm feeling a bit more confident. I've caught these guys by 2 to 3 seconds after the slowdown. I've passed, what was I in P7? So I've passed 6 cars. 2 of them, well, 3 of them were actually legit overtakes, and the last 2 were 2 for 1 in a pretty specky one, I thought. So now we've got to just focus on, you can see it, focus on running clean laps again. I'm trying to see what we can do about getting away. Seemed to have a good run through the chicane again, and left Mark in a position where he wasn't able to attack me. James West, he's gone through on Luke in that overtake that I did. It gave him an opportunity, and I think that's where he got through Luke. Luke, who's down now, Whitman down in P4. So as pleased as I might have been with myself with that overtake, we're on lap 11 of, I think it's is it 16 or 17? I can't remember, one or the other. We'll see a white flag at some point on one of those. We've got about a 3.5 tenths gap. I don't feel particularly strong up there through Coppice at turn 8, and although I did get a little bit of a run there on Mark, and I did feel quite strong through the chicane though. So what are we, 3.5 tenths on entry, Well, that wasn't a brilliant one, and there you go, we're going 2/10 through there, which is really good. The draft in these cars is nothing special. You really need to get a good exit if you're going to use the draft. Primary passing opportunity. This is the best passing opportunity in my opinion at turn 1 at Redgate. Mainly because if you can set up a good exit out of the chicane, it's more of a classic passing opportunity. The one that I did through the chicane, which is probably your second best passing opportunity, not the way I did it 2-for-1 style or anything like that, but one-on-one, it's probably your second best passing opportunity, but it comes with heaps more risk, heaps of additional risk. So side by side through there is on entry, exit, as I get a bit of a dodgy one through McLean's there and lose all that gap that I'd built up on Mark. Gain a little bit there through Coppice. Yeah, but coming down, overtaking through this area, this is the second best passing opportunity on the track in my opinion, but it's so much more risk. You've got these two 90-degree corners. Not as strong a run through there. In fact, Mark really didn't lose too much through there, and I'm starting to worry wonder if I've lost my mojo at this point, as Luke sets the fastest lap there in P3 with an 11.4. From memory, that was the fastest lap of the race. There's guys out there I've seen already this week who do low 11s undrafted. I think the best I manage is like an 11.7 undrafted. And the margins in these cars appear to be really, really tight. Tight in terms of times at the top end of town, but also tight in terms of manufacturing opportunities to overtake it as well. I think these race pretty well. The Skippies in terms of the racing I think is still unparalleled, but I think these do enough with the limited draft, which is the differentiator between how the two cars race in my view, as Mark seems to have got a bit of a poor exit there, and Luke looking to make a move on the inside of the chicane this time round. I'm thinking, oh, this might be my chance to get away, but Mark actually backed out. Smart at that point because you risk so much, and already you can see West James has dropped off the back. So if Mark battles that, he might A, let me get away, and B, bring James back into it. Suddenly you got a 3-car battle for the minor positions. So smart racing there from Mark, I thought. But as I was saying, I think the racing in these is pretty good. I think without the draft of the skip though, it's a lot more down. There's a lot more riding on the skill of the drivers. Very limited draft to facilitate stuff. It can get you into a position, but my word, you've still got to earn them. You've got to take advantage of mistakes and really earn your passes in these cars, even though I've still already seen strings of cars in the early stages of races, and you can see here, even still, we've got 3 to 4 cars in quite a low soft at 2600. You know, the quality and the cream rises to the top. I mean, you can see Dennis Johansson, who's a quality driver and has put some yards in these cars, let me tell you. He's up 8 positions from missing out in quali and pushing through the field up to P7. So we've got a couple to go. It is 17 laps, I think. Oh no, hang on. Next lap would be Wild Over 16. Anyway, I didn't get the breakaway that I was hoping for. Although Luke was about half a second, he did get a good run through turn 1 there. Again, a 10th by the time we got down to the bottom of the hill at the old hairpin. You see, I'm not really opening up the corner enough there, not grabbing the curbing on the entrance to the old hairpin there. I'm still a bit tentative about finding the limits in these cars. Having said that, I'm always a bit sketchy on the entrance there. I don't like using the curb there. I just worry about clipping the grass and spinning a lot. What I noticed about Luke in this race, he was so good at getting good exits and was a real threat. So you can see he's less than 2/10, so I immediately have to take a defensive line. So he's down to a 10th, but he did not attack. And so I move over and take the racing line. He falls back to a couple of tenths, but gets a really good exit, so immediately on the defence and forcing him to go around the outside. So we raced like this through a couple of times. earlier in the race. You can see how much deeper he can brake on the outside. But I leave him plenty of room on the outside. He gives me racing room on the inside, better than I did him, which I think caused the contact between us earlier. We're still side by side. No, he's given it up. So it is 17 laps, as we don't do much with the apex at the bottom of the hill at the old hairpin. James West has dropped off the back. He'll be settling for 4th unless something comes of this. So Luke now thinking, you know, he's got 3 opportunities. He's got 2 times through the chicane and 1 time through turn 1. Everything else is going to be a real big fight, as I didn't do so well through Coppice. That'll set up Luke for a run here. He'll have to work pretty hard. He's keeping me tight on the right. Opens up. And then he outbrakes himself. He outbraked himself, and you can just see him in the mirror on the back there. I don't know if he picked up a slowdown or something, but as the white flag comes out, that's that battle with Luke done. And we're now got Mark Lay, who's driven a really heady race, really smart driving. He lost a couple of tenths there, in fact 2.5 tenths through turn 1, but he's sitting in P2, and I have managed to defend this this lead. We had the one big move to get into it, and then a couple of defensive manoeuvres as I grab a 1X. You know, at this point in the race, you think, oh, just let me get through the end of the lap. Mark dropped a bit of time, but he's got plenty of space there back to Luke, who's a couple of seconds behind him, and James a bit further back. Come through Coppice for the last time. Bit better apex, but not really too worried about speed, as Mark's dropping a bit further back. I think he's really turned the wick off. We'll turn the wick down. As we come in, start of P6, slow down lap 1. Best move I've done in about 3,000 years. And we go on to take the victory. Just pretty happy about that, in all honesty. Very, very happy in that one. It's not often I get a result like that, but I was indeed pretty stoked about it. All right, let's I want to analyze that move. Obviously it was a pretty key one. Let's grab the far chase, have a look. So I was behind. You can see I led a couple of laps. All right, so let's start actually with this one. All right, so here I'll start in P3, and this is the lap before. So you can see what I've observed here is up ahead, you've got Luke looking at Mark through the chicane, right? And you'll see here how much I close up on them, right? But then I get caught on the apex as Luke, you know, rightfully gives up the corner because he's short on Mark and he's not there, and then just runs the apexes, right? He's trying to force a mistake there from Mark, who does very well not to do it, but it slows it, and he keeps his apexes to defend for me. I can't get a run there, but you can see the line that I've taken is very much trying to be, although I missed the apex there, apex to apex on the racing line. Okay, come into the next corner, going to attack Luke. We have that little bump that we talked about. You can see where I'm tracking out. He's tracking out properly, even on the narrow line, and I'm tracking out narrow. You can see after the bump, I reckon I get maybe a 1X there. So I was very short on exit. Didn't track out. So that's on me more than it is on Luke, in my view. And then we recover. And after seeing what happened in the last lap, my thinking here is, so you can see, as I got a better run than Luke through there. I think Mark checked Luke up a little bit through here. See Mark's a little bit loose on entry. Has to turn in twice. You can see the adjustment he made and runs a little bit deep through there. Luke's got a run on him, but has nowhere to go. I'm coming quick, and I actually show the nose here. And my thinking here was just to see what it was looking like, but also then just see if I could disrupt Luke a little bit, just so that he didn't have a strong run on Mark into the chicane. This time Mark Moves over to the right to defend. Their roles are reversed in terms of left and right track position. But this time, after seeing what happened the previous lap, move over to open up the chicane. And what my thinking here was turn in early, compromise the exit of the first corner enough so that I could compromise the exit of the second corner and come underneath. See, the racing line that I took last time tracks out onto the curbing on the exit of the final corner here, but this one you come underneath and suddenly we got a 2 for 1. How good is that? That was as I said, well, the best move I've done in a long time, but also the defining moment of that race, of my race, and my first win in the Formula Fords. I was pretty chuffed with that. Anyway, folks, that might do us. Thank you for watching. What do you think of the Formula Fords? I reckon they're going all right. I think a lot of the community has come across. They're doing good things, and they brought a lot of the good things about Skippy racing into the Fords. Good mix of new and old people. Check out Sunday Night Lights. Actually, I'll put it up here. Hang on. I put it on. Yeah, go check out the Top Split on YouTube, which is obviously where you found this video. But check out our old SNL races. But the race one this season is of the Fords was at Brands Hatch. Go check it out. First one in the Formula Fords. You can see all that live though on Top Split TV on Twitch. Over there on a Sunday night, Australian Eastern Time is where you'll find us broadcasting the new soft race for the Formula Fords, and the Discord community is where you can read all about it, find all about the SNL broadcasts and everything we do over there. But for now, folks, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you checking this one out. Hope you're enjoying the Formula Ford. It's kind of the new thing that we're doing now this season, new shiny and all the rest of it, and the racing's been pretty good. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us. Do appreciate the support. If you could hit like, thumbs up, all those sorts of things, subscribe to the channel, that'd help us a lot. Anyway, I'm Alex McKellar, and until next time, I will say ciao for now.